The massive form of the UNSS Argentum hung silently in Earth's orbit, its titanium alloy hull reflecting the pale blue glow of humanity's homeworld. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the bridge's observation window, her weathered hands clasped behind her back as she studied the stars. 25 years of space service had taught her to trust her instincts, and right now, every nerve in her body screamed danger. "Captain, unusual gravitational readings at the edge of lunar orbit," Lieutenant Marcus Rivera announced, his fingers dancing across the holographic display. "Energy signatures unlike anything in our database." Chen turned from the window, her dark eyes narrowing. "Show me." The main display lit up with a cascade of data, showing massive distortions in spacetime. Before Chen could process the information, reality itself seemed to tear open. 7 vessels emerged from the void, their hulls composed of what appeared to be living crystal that pulsed with internal light. "All stations, battle ready," Chen ordered, her voice calm despite the hammering of her heart. "Weapons, give me a full analysis of their defensive capabilities." "Their shields are incredible, Captain," Weapons Officer Yuki Tanaka reported, awe evident in her voice. "Energy readings suggest they could withstand a direct hit from our most powerful plasma cannons." The alien vessels moved with impossible grace, arranging themselves in a perfect hexagon around a central command ship. Their crystalline surfaces shifted colors like oil on water, creating patterns that seemed to defy physics itself. "Incoming transmission," Communications Officer David Legos announced. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies." The main screen flickered to life, revealing a being that appeared to be composed of pure energy contained within a crystalline exoskeleton. Its voice resonated directly in their minds, bypassing the ship's communication systems entirely. "Primitive species of Earth," the being announced, its tone carrying the weight of eons. "I am Sovereign Commander Zextal of the Meridian Concordat. Your world has been chosen for ascension. Surrender your vessels and prepare for integration." Chen's jaw tightened. 6 months ago, when humanity had first detected the approaching vessels, the United Earth Defense Council had prepared for this moment. They had gambled everything on one technological advantage. While the rest of the galaxy had pursued energy weapons, humanity had perfected the art of kinetic warfare. "Sovereign Commander," Chen responded, her voice steady, "Earth respectfully declines your offer of ascension. We choose our own path." The alien's crystalline form pulsed with what might have been amusement. "Your defiance is noted but irrelevant. Observe true power, so you might understand your insignificance." The lead vessel's crystal structure began to glow with blinding intensity. Energy readings spiked off the charts as it prepared to fire what appeared to be a weapon capable of reducing cities to ash. Chen didn't hesitate. "Weapons, execute Protocol Thunderbolt. Target their command vessel's power core. Full acceleration." "Aye, Captain." Railgun-1 charging. Mass driver online. The Argentum's main railgun, hidden beneath layers of ablative armor, hummed to life. A specially designed tungsten rod, barely 3 meters long but dense enough to punch through a small moon, was loaded into the magnetic acceleration chamber. The alien vessel's weapon reached critical mass, its crystal structure now blazing like a newborn star. But before it could release its apocalyptic energy, the Argentum fired. The tungsten rod, accelerated to 15% of light speed, crossed the distance between the ships in less than a second. No energy shields, no matter how advanced, could stop pure kinetic force of that magnitude. The rod punched through the alien vessel's crystalline hull as if it were paper, severing its power core and continuing through the other side. For a moment, silence reigned across space. The alien command ship's glow flickered, died, and then its crystal structure began to fracture. Secondary explosions chained through its hull as the power core went critical. "Impossible." Zextal's mental voice thundered across the void. "Your weapons, they violate all known laws of warfare." "No," Chen replied, allowing herself a small smile. "They just obey older ones. Newton's laws send their regards." The remaining alien vessels scattered in disarray, their perfect formation dissolving into chaos. Emergency jump signatures flared as they fled, leaving their command ship to die in Earth's orbit. As the crystal vessel exploded in a spectacular display of light and energy, Chen turned to her crew. "Send word to Earth Defense Command. Tell them first contact was hostile, but the Thunderbolt protocols worked exactly as designed. And add this, we've just announced humanity's presence to the galaxy in a way they'll never forget." In the debris field that was once a Meridian warship, a single piece of crystal continued to pulse with weak light, broadcasting a warning to the far reaches of space. Humanity wasn't just another primitive species to be conquered. They had mastered something the energy-based civilizations had forgotten millennia ago: the devastating simplicity of kinetic warfare. The game had changed, and the galaxy would never be the same. The massive underground facility beneath the Himalayas buzzed with activity as Dr. Elena Rodriguez studied the holographic simulation before her. 2 years had passed since the Meridian encounter, and humanity hadn't wasted a single day. "Run the simulation again," she commanded, her eyes fixed on the display showing the next generation of human railgun technology. "Increase the magnetic field density by another 12%. The hologram shifted, showing a tungsten projectile accelerating through a series of electromagnetic coils. At its core lay a revolutionary discovery. The crystalline fragments recovered from the destroyed Meridian vessel had unique properties when exposed to magnetic fields. Admiral James Chen, Sarah Chen's father and now head of the United Earth Defense Force, stepped into the laboratory. His presence commanded immediate attention, though his expression remained thoughtful rather than stern. "Dr. Rodriguez, the Security Council is getting impatient. They want results, not simulations." Elena turned to face him, her expression brightening. "Then today's their lucky day, Admiral. We've cracked it." She gestured to the simulation. The Meridian's crystal technology wasn't just for show. When we incorporate it into our railgun projectiles, it creates a cascade effect in the magnetic acceleration chamber. We can achieve 30% light speed now. The Admiral's eyebrows rose slightly, the only indication of his surprise. "That's more than double our previous capability. The power requirements must be enormous." "That's the beauty of it," Elena replied, pulling up another diagram. "The crystal fragments actually help channel and focus the magnetic field. We're using less power than before, not more. We've already begun retrofitting the Argentum with the first prototype." Across the facility, teams of scientists and engineers worked tirelessly. The Meridian attack had done something unprecedented. It had unified Earth like never before. Former rivals now collaborated, sharing resources and knowledge in preparation for the inevitable return of the aliens. "We've also made progress on detecting their faster-than-light signatures," Elena continued, switching to a different display. "The crystals resonate at specific frequencies when exposed to the same kind of spatial distortions their ships create. We can spot them coming now, maybe even track them in their own territory." Admiral Chen nodded slowly. "How soon can we begin mass production?" "The first batch of enhanced railguns will be ready for installation within 3 months. We're calling them the Mark II Thunderbolt system. Every major warship in the fleet will have them by year's end." The Admiral's comm unit chimed softly. He checked it, his expression growing serious. "Speaking of detecting them, our long-range sensors just picked up something. Multiple spatial distortions forming at the edge of the solar system." Elena's hands flew across her console, pulling up the sensor data. Her eyes widened as she processed the information. "These signatures, they're bigger than anything we've seen before. Much bigger." "How long?" the Admiral asked quietly. "At their current velocity, 4 days until they reach Earth orbit." Elena's voice was steady, professional, but her hands had clenched into fists. "They're not running scared anymore. Admiral, this is a full invasion fleet." Admiral Chen straightened his uniform, a gesture reminiscent of his daughter. "Then it's time to show them what humanity has been doing with the past 2 years." He turned to leave, then paused. Dr. Rodriguez, the Security Council authorized me to share something with you. We've been keeping it quiet, but there's been a development in the asteroid belt. He transmitted a file to her console. Alina opened it, and her breath caught. The images showed what appeared to be ancient ruins, clearly artificial but neither human nor meridian in origin. We found them 6 months ago, the Admiral explained. They're at least 50,000 years old, and they contain warnings about the meridians. We weren't their first victims, just the first to fight back effectively. Alina studied the images, her mind racing with implications. These ruins, they might help us understand more about meridian technology. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because until now, we weren't sure we could trust the information. But these readings you're getting, the size of the fleet they're bringing, it matches the patterns described in the ruins. They're not just coming to conquer Earth anymore. They're coming to make an example of us. The facility's alert system suddenly blared to life. Alina's console lit up with urgent notifications. Admiral, the spatial distortions are accelerating. New estimate for arrival, 36 hours. Admiral Chen's face hardened. Then we have 36 hours to prepare humanity's welcome party. Doctor, how quickly can you calibrate those Mark IO Thunderbolts for space combat? Alina was already moving, calling her team to action. We'll have them ready in 24. Just make sure our ships are in position. As alarms sounded throughout the facility, Alina couldn't help but smile grimly. The Meridians were coming back with overwhelming force, expecting to find a primitive species cowering in fear. Instead, they would find humanity waiting with 2 years of technological advancement and a few ancient secrets of their own. The next encounter wouldn't be a surprise attack. It would be humanity's chance to prove that their first victory wasn't a fluke, and that Earth was ready to take its place among the stars, whether the Meridians liked it or not. The vastness of space between Mars and Earth had become a graveyard of crystalline shards and metallic debris. Captain Sarah Chen watched from the bridge of the UNSS Argentum as another Meridian cruiser shattered under the impact of humanity's enhanced railguns. The battle had been raging for 6 hours, and still they came. Incoming transmission from the Meridian command vessel, Lieutenant Legos announced, his voice hoarse from hours of constant communication. They're requesting a ceasefire. The bridge crew exchanged glances. In the initial assault, the Meridians had arrived with over 300 ships, confident in their overwhelming superiority. Now, barely a third of their fleet remained operational. Put them through, Chen ordered, straightening in her command chair. The holographic display shimmered, revealing not 1 but 3 Meridian sovereign commanders, their crystalline forms pulsing with agitation. You've acquired knowledge that doesn't belong to you, the central figure accused, its mental voice resonating with barely contained rage. The ruins in your system were meant to stay buried. Chen's expression remained neutral. Knowledge belongs to those who seek it, Sovereign Commander. We merely learned from history, yours and others. Those who came before us were weak, another Meridian leader hissed. They fell because they lacked the will to do what was necessary. We have spent millennia perfecting our civilization, and we will not be undone by primitives who barely understand the power they've stumbled upon. Dr. Alina Rodriguez stepped forward from her tactical station. We understand more than you think. Your crystalline technology, your energy manipulation, it's all based on the same principles. You've just forgotten that sometimes the simplest solutions are the most effective. The Meridian's forms flickered with what might have been uncertainty. You speak of things beyond your comprehension. Our mastery of energy has made you blind. Alina interrupted. We found more than warnings in those ruins. We found the records of how your species began. You weren't always energy beings. You chose to evolve, to abandon physical form because you thought it made you superior. But in doing so, you forgot the fundamental forces that shaped the universe. The lead Sovereign Commander's form pulsed violently. Enough. You leave us no choice. If we cannot claim your world, we will ensure no one else ever does. The transmission cut off abruptly. On the tactical display, the remaining Meridian ships began to move into a new formation, their crystalline hulls resonating with building energy. "They're channeling power between their ships," Elena reported, studying the readings. "The energy signature. It's like nothing we've seen before. Whatever they're planning, we can't let them complete it," Chen decided. She opened a channel to the entire Earth defense fleet. "All ships, execute formation delta. Prepare for simultaneous fire on my mark." The human fleet moved with practiced precision, their ships arranging themselves in a complex three-dimensional pattern. Each vessel's enhanced railguns hummed with potential energy, their crystalline enhanced projectiles loaded and ready. Energy buildup in the Meridian fleet reaching critical levels, Weapons Officer Tanaka warned. "They're going to overload their cores deliberately. The combined explosion could sterilize half the solar system." Chen's eyes narrowed. "Not if we strike first. All ships, fire." Across the void, dozens of railguns fired in perfect synchronization. The enhanced projectiles, accelerated to speeds that seemed to mock physics itself, crossed the distance in milliseconds. Each one carried a payload of the same crystalline material the Meridians used in their ships, but modified by human ingenuity. The impacts were devastating. Instead of simply punching through the Meridian vessels, the projectiles resonated with their target's crystalline structure. The effect cascaded through their formation, disrupting the energy buildup and causing their ships to fall into disarray. "Direct hits across their entire fleet," Tanaka reported, unable to keep the satisfaction from her voice. "Their energy network is collapsing. They can't complete the overload sequence." The Meridian ships began to retreat, their once perfect formation now in chaos. But before they could engage their faster-than-light drives, a new signal caught everyone's attention. "Captain," Lagos called out, "we're detecting multiple spatial distortions. Big ones. They're not Meridian signatures." New ships emerged from the void. Massive vessels of dark metal and stone, their designs unlike anything human or Meridian. At their center, a ship larger than all the others broadcasted a message that echoed through space. "Children of Earth," a deep, resonant voice announced, "we have watched and waited. You have proven yourselves worthy. The Meridian's reign of terror ends today." Chen and Elena shared a look of wonder and apprehension. The ruins had spoken of others, ancient species who had gone into hiding rather than submit to Meridian rule. Now, it seemed, humanity's resistance had brought them out of the shadows. The battle was over, but something far more significant was beginning. Humanity hadn't just defended Earth, they had changed the balance of power in the galaxy itself. The observation deck of the Stellar Assembly Station hung in high Earth orbit, its transparent walls offering an unobstructed view of both home and the assembled fleet of the Ancient Ones. Captain Sarah Chen stood beside Dr. Elena Rodriguez as they faced the delegation from what they now knew as the Primordia Collective. The being addressing them appeared as a shifting mass of dark matter, contained within an exoskeleton of what looked like carved stone. Its name, as best as human linguistics could approximate, was First Observer Corel. "For 10,000 years, we watched civilizations fall to the Meridians." Corel's thoughts resonated in their minds. Most were conquered. Some were transformed. Others simply vanished. But you did what we could not. You fought back effectively. "We had help," Elena replied, gesturing to the holographic display, showing the ancient ruins they'd discovered. "Your warnings, your technology, they gave us the edge we needed." "No," another Primordian stepped forward, its form rippling with what might have been amusement. "The ruins provided context, nothing more. What made you different was your willingness to embrace both the old and the new. While the Meridians forgot the fundamental forces in their pursuit of energy manipulation, you combined both." Admiral Chen joined them, accompanied by representatives from Earth's unified government. "The question now is, what happens next?" The Meridians still control vast territories. They'll rebuild, adapt, return. "Indeed," Corel agreed, "which is why we've emerged from our long exile. The galaxy stands at a crossroads, and humanity has proven itself capable of charting a new course. The holographic display shifted, showing a map of the known galaxy. Thousands of points of light indicated meridian-controlled systems, while darker regions marked the territory of the Primordia Collective. "We propose an alliance," Carell continued. "Your railgun technology, combined with our understanding of space-time manipulation, could fundamentally change the balance of power. But first, we need to strike at the heart of meridian control." Captain Chen studied the map intently. Their home system. "Even with your help, a direct assault would be costly." "Not an assault," the second Primordian corrected. "A hunt. Your ships, specifically the Argentum, have proven particularly effective at exploiting meridian weaknesses. We propose a joint mission, a surgical strike at their central command structure." Elena's eyes lit up with sudden understanding. The crystalline resonance. If we could trigger a cascading failure in their primary coordination network, their entire empire would fragment. Admiral Chen finished. Their subjected worlds would have a chance to break free. Carell's form pulsed with approval. "Precisely. But such a mission would require something beyond mere technology. It would demand the kind of adaptability and tactical innovation that only humanity has demonstrated." Captain Chen straightened, a familiar glint in her eye. "The Argentum is ready, but we'll need to understand more about what we're facing. The Meridians we've encountered so far have been military commanders. Their central leadership might be something else entirely." The holographic display shifted again, showing a massive crystalline structure at the heart of Meridian space. "Their consensus chamber," Carell explained. "The combined consciousness of their highest leaders. They believe themselves to have transcended physical form entirely, becoming pure energy and thought. Which makes them even more vulnerable to properly applied physics," Elena mused. "Captain, if we could modify the Mark Io thunderbolts to create a specific resonance pattern, we could disrupt their entire leadership structure with a single precisely calculated shot." Chen nodded. "But getting into position would be the challenge." "That's where we come in," the second Primordian indicated. "Our understanding of space-time can help mask your approach. But the calculations must be perfect. One mistake, and you'll have the entire Meridian Empire descending upon you." Admiral Chen studied the assembled group, humans standing alongside beings that looked like they'd stepped out of mythology, all united by a common purpose. "How soon can we begin?" "The Meridians are already regrouping," Carell replied. "They'll expect us to wait, to consolidate our forces. The sooner we move, the better our chances of success." Captain Chen turned to her father. "The Argentum can be ready in 48 hours. We'll need Dr. Rodriguez and her team to modify our weapon systems." "You'll have whatever you need," the Admiral assured her. "But Sarah, this mission, the risks, are worth taking," she finished firmly. "The Meridians thought they could break us because we were young, because we hadn't forgotten how to fight with simple forces. It's time to show them that was just the beginning." As the meeting concluded and plans were set in motion, Elena caught up with Chen in the corridor. "Captain, there's something else. The Primordians, they're not just helping us out of altruism. They see something in humanity that they lost long ago." "What's that?" "The ability to evolve without losing our essence, to advance without forgetting our roots." Elena smiled. "They don't just want us as allies. They want us as teachers." Chen looked back through the observation window at the assembled fleet, human ships alongside the ancient vessels of the Primordia Collective. "Then let's make sure we live up to their expectations. Plot a course for the heart of Meridian space, Doctor. It's time for humanity to help reshape the galaxy." The UNSS Argentum drifted silently through the heart of Meridian space, its hull cloaked in layers of Primordian space-time manipulation technology. Through the bridge viewport, Captain Sarah Chen watched the crystalline megastructure of the Meridian consensus chamber grow larger, a construct that resembled a massive geometric snowflake, stretching hundreds of kilometers across space. "Final system check," Chen ordered quietly, though sound couldn't travel through the void. Every word felt heavy with the weight of history in the making. Modified Mark IO Thunderbolt primed and ready, Weapons Officer Tanaka reported. Crystalline resonance frequency locked on target. Dr. Elena Rodriguez monitored her specialized console, where complex equations and energy patterns danced across multiple screens. The Primordian cloaking field is holding. As far as their sensors are concerned, we're just another piece of cosmic background radiation. Incoming data from the collective scout ships. Communications Officer Lagos announced. The outer defense grid is rotating exactly as predicted. We'll have our firing window in 3 minutes. The plan was elegant in its simplicity, though its execution required precision that would have been impossible just months ago. The Argentum carried a single modified railgun round, a masterpiece of human engineering combined with both Meridian crystalline technology and Primordian spacetime understanding. 2 minutes to optimal firing position. Tanaka updated. Single shot, Captain. We won't get a second chance. Chen nodded, her eyes fixed on the massive structure ahead. Within that crystalline labyrinth, the highest consciousness of the Meridian Empire existed in a state of pure energy, directing their civilization's expansion across the galaxy. They had long ago abandoned physical form, believing it to be beneath them. 1 minute, Elena announced. Detecting energy fluctuations in their outer defense grid. They're beginning their scheduled reset sequence. For a fraction of a second, the Meridian's automated defense systems would power down and restart, a process they believed happened too quickly for any potential threat to exploit. They hadn't counted on humanity's timing or the Primordians' space-time manipulation. 30 seconds. Tanaka called out. Railgun at full charge. Crystalline resonance pattern stable. Chen opened a secure channel to the waiting Primordian fleet, hidden just outside the system. All forces, stand ready. The moment we fire, you'll have exactly 15 seconds before their backup systems engage. 15 seconds will be sufficient. First observer Kurul's thoughts echoed back. The subjected worlds are prepared. They await only the signal. 10 seconds, Elena reported. Defense grid powering down. Now. Chen's voice was steel. Fire. The modified railgun round left the Argentum at 40% light speed, its crystalline payload humming with carefully calculated resonance frequencies. It crossed the space between ship and target in less time than it took for human synapses to fire. The impact was almost anticlimactic, a small flash where the round pierced the outer structure of the consensus chamber. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the chain reaction began. The crystalline structure of the chamber began to vibrate, the resonance spreading through its lattice like ripples in a pond. The Meridian consciousness, existing as pure energy within the structure, found their carefully maintained patterns disrupted by fundamental forces they had forgotten could affect them. Energy cascade initiating, Elena reported, her voice tight with concentration. The resonance pattern it's working exactly as calculated. Their consciousness matrix is destabilizing. Across Meridian space, the effect spread through their quantum-linked communication networks. The rigid hierarchy that had maintained their empire for millennia began to fragment. Multiple signatures detected, Lagos announced. Ships appearing all around us. It's the resistance. The subjected worlds are making their move. The Primordian fleet emerged from hiding, their ancient vessels taking up defensive positions around the Argentum. But there was little need. The Meridian defense forces were in chaos, their commands disrupted by the collapse of their central leadership. Message coming in from the chamber, Lagos reported. They're surrendering. The holographic display activated, showing a Meridian consciousness, but different from any they'd encountered before. This one's crystalline form was simpler, more fundamental. We understand now, the being communicated, its thoughts carrying the humility that would have been impossible hours before. In our pursuit of transcendence, we lost sight of the very forces that make existence possible. Perhaps it is we who have been primitive. It's not about being primitive or advanced, Chen replied. It's about understanding that progress doesn't mean abandoning your foundations. The galaxy is large enough for many paths to the future. In the hours that followed, the news spread across known space. The Meridian Empire had not been destroyed. That had never been the goal. Instead, it had been transformed. Their consciousness, forced to reconnect with physical reality, began to change. The subjected worlds were freed, and a new council was formed, with representatives from all species: human, Primordian, Meridian, and the formerly subjected civilizations. As the Argentum began its journey home, Alina joined Chen at the viewport. "You know what this means, don't you? We've changed more than just the political landscape. We've proven that technological advancement doesn't have to mean losing touch with fundamental principles." Chen smiled, watching the stars streak by. "We've given the galaxy something it had forgotten: balance. And maybe, just maybe, we've helped create a future where progress doesn't mean forgetting where you came from." Behind them, Earth waited. No longer a solitary blue marble in space, but the birthplace of a species that had reminded the galaxy of its own foundations. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not through overwhelming force or technological superiority alone, but through the simple wisdom of remembering that sometimes the oldest laws were still the most important. The age of energy beings and pure consciousness hadn't ended, but it had been transformed by the simple application of Newton's laws and human ingenuity. As Chen ordered the course set for home, she couldn't help but wonder what other fundamental truths the galaxy might have forgotten, waiting for humanity to rediscover them.